We have a lot to get to today in the breaking news segment, and we're first going to start with the FDA and the shenanigans they have been pulling, and then we'll talk about the Omicron variant and dissect some of the misinformation you may have been told so that we can put your mind at ease and make you an informed decision maker when it comes to your health. But before we get started, I'm Dr. Nick Zarowski, and welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and make your way on over to drzee.tv if you want to see all my natural health videos. Now, starting with the FDA, there's an article here. The FDA says it now needs 75 years to fully release the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine data, which is insane. 75 years, and this is up from 55 years. They wanted 55 years at first, but now they're requesting 75. So to put that into perspective for you, that's like 2096, okay? And if you think about that, I was like, I would never be alive, right? Now, the generation of people who are getting this shot, they aren't even going to be alive. And like my kids probably won't even be alive. So it's pretty crazy to think about that they want to store this data away and not make it available. And the audacity behind that, this is what is so bizarre. So the government, they go and they give Pfizer billions of dollars. Then they mandate people to take Pfizer's product. And then after that, they prohibit people from knowing what's in them. And then they refuse to let people know what is actually in the shots. Like it's so bizarre. It's like, man, can you imagine the audacity that takes to tell people to get this product from this particular pharmaceutical company and then refuse to share the information with them? And the only reason that this comes to light is because the FDA is being sued by the Public Health and Medical Professional for Transparency Group, and they're being sued by them for not complying and releasing data due to the Freedom of Information Act. So they're not releasing any data on the shot. So anyway, it's really bizarre. And you know what? You can't even go in and sue these people if something happens to you. So, I don't know why the FDA, which is an organization that is supposed to be protecting people from these big companies that are huge medical monopolies out there in the pharmaceutical space, they're supposed to be protecting regular people from them. And if anything, they're protecting these companies from regular people. So it's very bizarre. Share in the comments what you think about that, because I'm just blown away that people are willing to trust the FDA and the government when they're pulling shenanigans like this. Okay, so something to think about there. Now I want to talk about the World Health Organization. They say that there's no deaths that have been reported as a result of the Omicron variant. That's a good thing. That's really awesome. And it's very interesting because when you look at viruses in general, they get weaker over time. That's just a known fact, a scientific fact about viruses. But one of the things that's bizarre is that you have countries like Germany that's like full lockdown. You have Australia, which has bizarre policies. They're putting people in camps who get COVID, because they are so terrified of the Omicron variant. And here we are in a position where it's actually a fairly weak variant. People who are getting it are not finding themselves in a bad way. And also, it just doesn't seem to be something to be that worried about. But yet you literally have countries shutting down over it. We have Pfizer saying, hey, you're probably going to need all 4 shots. I think there's 4 shots now. You're going to need all of them to protect yourself from this scary, scary new variant. Yet there's nothing that has been proven that we should be scared of. So it's pretty bizarre. If we actually scroll down this article right here, it's kind of interesting. There's a statement from this doctor. I think her name's Angelique Coetzee. Dr. Angelique Coetzee, the chair of the South African Medical Association and one of the first doctors to treat patients with Omicron, has consistently maintained that Omicron is a mild variant. Let me be clear, nothing I have seen about this variant warrants the extreme action the UK government has taken in response to it. By extreme action, Dr. Coetzee meant heavy travel restrictions on flights from across South Africa, as well as imposing tighter rules at home on mask wearing, fines, and extended quarantines. Okay, so they're recommending people wear masks in their own home. And I mean, I think Dr. Fauci in the United States, I may be wrong on this, but also has recommended people wear masks in their own home during the holidays. No one here in South Africa is known to have been hospitalized with the Omicron variant, nor is anyone here believed to have fallen seriously ill with it. Okay. So as we see the hysteria on the news and within the federal government and also within governments around the world, it's just not proving to be a legitimate concern. It just isn't. There's not one single death that is associated with this variant. What in the world is everybody freaking out about? Also, there has been no person that has fallen seriously ill, according to this doctor over in South Africa. And that's where the whole thing started. They should be the experts on this, okay? If it started there and they have had the longest duration to be able to monitor this particular variant, and they're saying, hey, it's really not that bad, then what in the world is everybody freaking out about? So pretty bizarre. So just, I want to put that out there because there's so much news on this particular topic that is scaring the hell out of people. And I just don't think it holds up, okay? And for some reason, there's, particular policymakers within the different governments that love this. And I think it just gave them a new sense of power and a whole new strength to basically control people's lives. And so they keep running with it, even though the science doesn't actually prove what they are telling people, right? I mean, you hear one thing from policymakers and governors and these presidents of these countries around the world, and you're hearing, of course, a story from guys like Fauci, who's wrong about everything. And then you go in and you look at the actual scientific facts and you're like, wait a minute. Like if you just watched regular media, and unfortunately a lot of people do, a lot of these big corporate media giants, you would think that there was something to be terrified about, and especially elderly people who don't know any better to turn this garbage off. They really are getting freaked out about this, and it's very sad. I take care of elderly people all the time that come in and they tell me things that just are not true. Like they're just not even close to being true. And unfortunately, I don't think I can convince them otherwise because they are already so far down a particular path. So, make sure that if you're watching this and you know the truth about what's actually happening, that you take the time to instruct family members, and not that you need to go around trying to, try to convince people something other than what they choose to believe in. But in the same hand, if you have someone who just honestly wants to know the truth, but doesn't, it's good to make sure that you send them this proper information so that they can make better choices. Okay. And it's because it's sad to see how many people are scared out there. All right, natural immunity is more protective over time than the shot, according to a new study. And this is very interesting because I had an inkling a long time ago that we were eventually going to see studies that prove this, because we already have seen studies that basically the shots wane, I should say, in their ability to work over time. Their effectiveness drops dramatically, especially at that 6-month mark. You're getting ones like the Pfizer shot. I mean, they're losing over 50% of their ability to even do anything. And so now we're seeing natural immunity is what's really shining through. And of course, you will not hear this, okay? There is obviously a huge push to try to get everybody to, buy up this product from these big mega pharma companies that are being sponsored by the government. There is a big push for you to use their product, okay? They are a for-profit company. They are in the business of selling you their products, okay? And when we look at the data, in natural immunity is showing to actually be more protective. It's like, what in the world are we doing? Okay. And actually, when it came to the Omicron variant, there's been many experts that have said that it actually could be a good thing, this variant, because anybody who has not actually gotten COVID, they could get this variant and have mild symptoms and then have the antibodies to protect them in the future if other variants come, which likely they will. I think they already have a few lined up. I heard the Omega variant is next. Let's go into this article a little bit because I think this is probably one of the most important things that I'll talk about today. Immunity people enjoy after recovering from COVID-19 is better than the protection bestowed from a vaccination, according to a new study over in Israel. And it's really interesting because Israel has really been leading the way in some of these studies. They've had groundbreaking studies. One was that natural immunity was 6 to 13 times stronger than synthetic immunity from the shot. Researchers analyzing data from the county's health database from August to September found both COVID-19 infection and severe disease were higher among the vaccinated than those who recovered from the illness, also known as people with natural immunity. Okay, I actually happen to be one of those people, and I got my my antibodies tested a year and a half later, and you better believe that they were there in huge numbers. Okay, because we've all been told that natural immunity won't last more than 6 months, and then it won't last more than a year and a half. And I'm telling you, I got the highest possible amount when it came to the test. Like if 100 was the highest, I was right there at 99. For instance, the naturally immune had a 10.5 per 100,000 infection rate 4 to 6 months following their recovery versus a 69.2 per 100,000 rate among the vaccinated. Okay, that's a huge difference in numbers right there. The number of severe cases was also higher among the vaccinated. 0.9% of all cases among the group were severe compared to the 0.5% among the cases that had recovered. Researchers found that protection against infection dropped over time among both the recovered and the vaccinated, but the drop was more pronounced among the vaccinated. They also studied 2 other cohorts, people with natural immunity who later got a vaccine and people who got a vaccine and later recovered from the infection. Case rates were low in both of those groups. They were the lowest by a small number in the naturally immune who got a jab. That's why some people actually believe that if you're naturally immune and got like one of the shots, that it could be a good thing. We found that protection against the Delta variant wanes over time for both vaccinated and previously infected individuals, and that an additional dose restores protection. And this is kind of the silly argument being made, is that they're basically telling people, yeah, like, natural immunity doesn't work, but we just need to give you shots until the end of time in order to protect you. The study analyzed the effectiveness of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, the one that's being hidden for 75 years, and you're not allowed to know about it. The one most used in Israel. COVID-19 is the disease caused by the CCP virus. Limitations of the study included having longer-term data for the recovered versus the other groups, an undetermined number of vaccinated people not being diagnosed as naturally immune, and the possible detection bias because the naturally immune are less likely to get tested than those who have been vaccinated. Now, the protection holds up over time. Immunity can be measured through antibodies, which primarily protect against infection, or through T cell and B cells, which primarily protect against severe disease. Those immune cells don't go away over time, according to this doctor, okay? And this is interesting because we have been told, and this is just a flat out lie, to be honest. And I can't believe they get away with it, because we have people from the 1918 Spanish flu that were tested for antibodies 90 years later, and they still had them, but yet they're telling people that when it comes to COVID, you'd be lucky if they're going to last more than 6 months. That's absolutely insane. Though the levels of antibodies go down in both the naturally immune and the vaccinated as time elapses, since recovery or getting a shot, both groups enjoy long-lasting protection against severe disease or death. That's not actually true, because those who are vaccinated basically will have to continue to get boosters in order to continually be protected, okay? People who are immune have 90% lower risk of severe disease, according to the recent research from Qatar. And I just talked about this in another video last week. The naturally immune, though, are better protected against both infection and severe disease, according to the large body of research that includes the latest study from Israel. If you had COVID before and recovered, all the data that we're looking at will suggest that you have a bulletproof natural immunity, which is much more robust and comprehensive than vaccine immunity, according to Dr. Paul Alexander, who has been part of these different studies. So it's very, very interesting. And the question is when it comes to natural immunity versus vaccinated immunity, is it necessary to go and get vaccinated immunity like Dr. Fauci and the scientists and the government is recommending to people? Well, I mean, according to the research, you got to, of course, make that decision for yourself. But at this point, when I see how good the natural immunity works, I don't quite understand why they're trying to push the opposite. I would say make sure that people are building a robust immune system using natural vitamins and exercise and getting sunlight and lots of sleep at night and fixing their diet and losing weight and doing all the right things so that their natural immunity will actually protect them. Okay, that makes sense. But just telling people to go and get a shot and then don't worry about anything else, it's the dumbest thing ever. You would think that with all the years of scientific research that we have on the human body, that wouldn't even be of question whether or not you should go and tell people to take care of themselves. But because there seems to be a huge vested interest in selling people a shot, obviously, they're not telling people that at all. Now let's go ahead and jump to another article now that we got through that. And it's very interesting to see that because there is data on all of this. Okay, this isn't me just riffing about something that's made up. I mean, this is scientific based data proving this. Now we're looking at 29 US states that have confirmed Omicron variant cases, mostly among the vaccinated. Okay, so basically what they're finding is that people who are naturally immune, they're staying healthy, no issues. People who have been vaccinated, it's not working for them, it's wearing off. If they're not continually getting boosted, they're likely going to get sick anyway. So at the end of the day, it really looks like most of the people who are getting vaccinated will have to continually get boosted till the end of time if they are too terrified to get the virus. And the people who have natural immunity can live their lives and know that they're protected in a good, healthy way. So, those are the things that we really have to take into consideration when we consider the real facts, okay? Not the facts that they're telling you on these goofball news networks, but the real facts that actually matter, that actually will change your life. And so, from my opinion, if you are somebody who's actually gotten COVID naturally, like I did, you're good to go. Your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to fight it off and it's going to be able to. And of course, take an intelligent approach to this, right? One of the things I always tell people is don't try to take the natural approach, but then don't do the things that are necessary in order for the natural approach to work well. Okay. If you're obese and you're not eating right and you're not exercising, you're not taking the immune boosting vitamins, like I always recommend for people, if you're not doing any of that stuff, don't show up to the party with Omicron being like, oh yeah, I got nothing to worry about because I'm going to just fight it naturally. Well, no, you probably won't. Okay. You probably won't because your body is in a very bad place. And of course, this is the same people who always have severe outcomes, no matter what virus, bacterial infection, or anything that presents itself. Okay. So always take an intelligent approach to your health. And I also highly recommend you make your way on over to drzee.tv and become a member over there. We have a brand new membership community over there. And let me tell you, we're having a lot of fun there. We're doing a challenge right now, a healthy holiday challenge. We're talking about how to eat healthy during the holidays and stay active and do all the right things. And of course, this week we are doing a Q&A session where you can submit your question if you're part of the membership, and I will answer them for you. So make your way on over. And of course, it supports me being able to do content just like this to help keep you informed. So I'll put a link in the description below. I would love to see you in there. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you like this video, I really think you'll like this video over here next.